Hello guys and welcome to the channel. This is Purple Rain Painting, also known as Ted. Today's video, of the first video, I'll be showing you how to make tarps for your tanks. I'll be using mine on my executioners for my Alpha Legion Primaris force. In later videos I'll also be showing you how to make this stowage for jerry cans, as well as some other bits and pieces and tutorials going along. So first of all, I'm just going to get these removed and then we'll start going through the processes. So with these, you can see they do fit really well once they've been made and cured. They sort of just clip on, so you don't need to have the stowage attached to the ones that you can't see. You can just have them off and use them for other projects as well. It's a bit of money saving advice there. The bases that are attached to these, another video I'll be posting in the future will be on how to make these bases. Let's get this one out of the way first, and we'll begin work on the second one there. Okay, right, so the first one we're working on today, I'm just going to remove the tarps first of all, just to show you that there is no stowage underneath the left hand side one where the green stuff is cured. There's no need to have it there anymore. If you can't see it's paint, it doesn't need to be there because you're just painting the effect of it underneath the tarps. So what we're going to do now, I'm just going to run through the list of items we'll be using today, including the tools and the products. So we've got, first of all, some green stuff. Get mine from Green Stuff World. It's quite cheap and you get quite a lot of it. We've got a sheet of glass from a Wilkinson's picture frame, a palette knife, some baby powder, and then the mega plane roller from Green Stuff World, and some latex gloves. Now the kits I've used today, we've got two. There is a Tamiya 1/72 scale jerry cans and barrels kit, which I use for the stowage, and then the mini art barrels and cans as well. Right, so first of all, what we're going to do, you just want to clip your parts off, clean them up, and make the stowage where you want it. Get it all placed out. As you can see here, I've glued a few of mine together, but they're not glued to the tank for ease of painting. You just blue tack them down onto the tank. Once they're down there in the positions you want, it's really just a case of getting some nice shapes underneath the tarp that will look interesting to paint, and we'll show up sort of any sort of dry brushing or details you want to paint onto the tank afterwards as well, with the tarp on there. Okay, now something you do want to remember when getting these parts on there, where the tarp's going to lie, you don't want it to interfere with the rotation of the turret or anything like that. So you can see that this part here, it's a nice looking piece. However, if it was to go there, it wouldn't allow the turret to turn. So don't put that bit on there. Also just think about where things are going to go before you place them down. So I'm just going to finish placing these down, and we'll move on to mixing the green stuff. So I've got my gloves on for this, just so the green stuff doesn't stick to my fingers and get a nice smooth surface. So I'm sure, as you know, Green's part is a 2-part epoxy putty, mixed equal measures together, and it takes around 4 hours to start hardening properly, and I always generally tend to leave mine for about 12 to 24 hours to let it harden fully and completely cure. I'll come back to you once this is done. Okay, right, so we've got a nice smooth finish to our green stuff there, as you can see. If you stretch it apart, there's no yellow parts or blue parts anymore, it's just solid green. Right, so the next thing you want to do is get your sheet of glass, place it down on your cutting mat or work surface. You can see it's completely clean, smooth. You want to make sure there's no indentations or anything stuck to the surface still. We're then going to lay down a really generous layer of baby powder over the top of this. You kind of want it to resemble something out of Scarface. Once that's done, we're going to pop our green stuff down on top of this, get it covered in the baby powder, so it's not going to tack to either the glass or the rolling pin that you're going to be using. So just give it a sort of a swipe around if you need to, whack some more baby powder down if you think it's still going to stick, and then whack some more at the top of that. Then we're going to get our rolling pin out. So with the rolling pin, I do recommend the rolling pins from Green Stuff World. Very good. I've got a few in my collection now. So this is just a plain one, so you get a nice smooth surface. And like I said, it is the mega one, so it's a pretty hefty size. So what we're going to do is get this out, and we're also then going to coat this in baby powder as well, to ensure that the green stuff does not stick to it. As you can see, there's an old piece of green stuff stuck to it there. I'm just going to chisel off with the palette knife there. So once this is coated, we'll then begin to roll out our green stuff, roughly sort of want to try and achieve sort of a squarish shape, or at least enough that you've got enough in the middle to cut the shape you want out of. So as you can see, it sort of tacks a little bit, but once you roll it back, it doesn't really tend to stick to it. There's a tiny little bit there, but it's not damaged or anything. Once you pop it down, put a bit more baby powder on there and just continue rolling. Okay, now what you want to achieve here is really sort of almost a paper thinness of the green stuff. So it's really thin as you can see when I'm picking it up. It acts like paper. It's incredibly thin. Just going to give it another more roll on this side. Now the tool we're going to be using to cut this out, we're going to be using our palette knife, just because I found the one that I have out of a few, it's a really good size for the tarps I wanted to make, just really fit the bill. So what we're doing now, we're getting the palette knife and creating a square just using the edge of the blade. It does tack to it slightly, it's not a problem though, because it does keep the edge still. And we'll be cleaning up the edges later on. I would recommend keeping the offcuts of the green stuff even once it's cured, because it's so thin it's incredibly pliable and flexible. It's really great for making extra straps out of, and we will be using some of these parts later on in another video where I show you how to make the stowage for the jerry cans. Right, okay, so this one's pretty much done now. So as you can see, we've got a nice flat square shape, still covered in talcum. So what we're going to do now, I'm just going to get a large brush and just brush off the excess talcum powder off of there. Once we've got all that talcum powder off, which we'll see in a second, we can then start applying it over the tank and over the stowage and start getting the shapes we want. So as you can see, with a large soft brush, it takes off the majority of the excess there, and it even starts taking the form of my hand slightly, where the brush is using that. So we're going to use that brush to help us create the forms on the tarps once the tank's there. So I'm going to pop this away. Now, one of the tools I did make is an end of a cocktail stick. I just used some wet and dry paper to make it super smooth, so there's no indentations on the cocktail stick at all. This is really great for helping you create the folds and the natural positioning of the tarps once it's there. So I'm just going to bring the tank back, and then we'll start laying the tarps down. Okay, now I think it looks nicer with a diagonal point hanging downwards. So I'm literally just going to lay it over the area I want it, and then start working at it with the toothpick, creating some natural folds. And then once I've got the folds where I want them, using the large soft brush just to push it into the details and crevices and take the form of the stowage underneath. So as with a lot of things in our hobby, the more random you can be with the shapes, the better and more natural it'll look. A lot of the times as well with things like this, there are bits that will get in the way, such as the turret and the AA gun mounted in the back there. So just want to keep those in mind and remember they would obviously need to function still, so try and sort of work around that. But yeah, I'll leave you to it for the minute. So you can see here I'm sort of using the brush very softly just to slowly work the green stuff into the crevices and taking the shape of the stowage underneath and the contours of the tank as well. Okay, right, so there we go. That is the tarp done on this tank. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that to cure just before I disappear off once that's curing and come back to you. I just want to go through, so as I said in a future video, what I will be going through is how I made the jerry can stowage on here. Now with the jerry can stowage, what you can see here is it's just a brass pin that essentially I bent into place around 3 glued together jerry cans. Now keeping aside the green stuff, cut-offs from the tarp that we used, what you do is you make a strap that goes underneath about halfway across, and you can then see once that lines up with the brass pin that I've put across there, it looks like it's a part of the bottom of the stowage for them. Just a bit of sort of hyper-realistic detailing there, but it looks absolutely great once it's fully painted up as well. If you do have any suggestions for anything you want to see in future videos, please do message me. But I'm going to disappear off for now, and we'll let this cure, and I'll come back to you for the final little parts. So I'll see you shortly. Okay, so we're back. So I've let the green stuff cure now for almost 10 hours, I think. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to clean up the tarp we have, remove the majority of the talcum powder we can get off there. Also using a bit of fresh water just on the end of the brush helps to remove that. Okay, the final thing we're going to do is just get our craft knife and clean up any edges on there. Unfortunately, I didn't replace the blade on mine with a nice clean new blade. It does cut through the green stuff very easily, and you get very crisp, nice edges on there. So I'm just going to take this, clean up the sides, and I'll wrap up the video for you. Okay, so that is the tarp finish. So the last thing we're going to do is just clean up the side of the tank, make sure there's no talcum powder on there, as this will interfere with the priming and painting of the vehicle. But as you can see, the tarp's finished. It fits on the side of the tank beautifully and just snaps in place and looks really natural. So that's the end of my first video. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe and follow my Instagram page, purplerain_painting. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please do message me. But thank you very much for watching and take care of yourselves.